Hi everyone, I'm Gargi Pathak and this is my final project for the data modeling class CIS 9467, and I have done a capacity distribution and some capacity planning using Solver. So during my past experience, I worked at an e-commerce brand during my past internship and my past experience. Like I have 5 years of experience in retail planning and allocation. Uh, and I had to do a lot of capacity planning for the manufacturers of new clothes for various apparel vendors on the basis of the price they offered and on the basis of the minimum order quantities they needed to maintain their production. I used to do it manually everywhere, um, wherever there were any changes. So, like if there were any changes in order to like if some prices are changing or some minimum order quantities are changing or something, so I had to put in manually and use like basic formulas like multiplication, subtraction. Sometimes I use VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP also, but it was very time consuming and it took a lot of my time in doing that because things change constantly, I feel. Then I got introduced by this tool Solver in this class, and I think it is a very helpful tool for me. It will make my work so easy, like the things that took me at least hours or some extra, more time. Now I can do it in seconds by just using Solver. So I'll take you, so let me start my project. So basically I picked the allocation data from one of my allocation reports while I was working with Rappel. I have changed the name to Black Tie. I'll show you the name of the company that I work for. This is the company that I work for, Rappel. And so I've changed the name, and let's start from step 1. So the step 1 involved in this was I activated the Solver add-in. That was the first step. So I went into File, Options, Add-ins, and this was the Solver add-in. I had to use Excel add-ins, and I did that, and it came in the data tab here. So I added that. And the second step that I did was I fed formulas, and let's see our sheet. So actually, before telling you the formula, let me explain the sheet to you. So I have picked the data from the allocation sheet. So I have done capacity allocation for 4 fashion seasons. That is spring summer 2019, autumn winter 2019, spring summer 2020, and autumn winter 2020. This is a store demand that we got from the budgeting team. So these were the quantities that were required in the shirts category, formal shirts category. So they only made formal shirts and formal suits, and these were the quantities that we had to fulfill for each season. Now let's see the formulas. So here I have filled in the formula. So these are the total units produced. It's the sum total of all the units produced in this particular season by all the vendors. So I have put in total units produced per season. Now let's look at other formulas. So this is the price that was quoted by the vendors. So I have put in the prices for each shirt. This is the total cost of production. It's the sum total of all the goods produced by one particular each vendor, multiplied by the prices that they're offering. Now let's look at the total cost of production. That's the sum of all the costs from each vendor, and our aim is to minimize this cost in order to make the production the most effective and in order to make our allocation the most effective and earn best profits for ourselves. Then after feeding the formulas, I had fed in the constraints in the solver. Let me show it to you. I've already fed in. So So our objective here is to basically minimize our total costs. So I have fed in like this. So our target cell is 200. We have this one. So our target cell is this, where we have to change this by effectively allocating our resources. We have to get the minimum of the costs. So I've selected minimum, and by changing variable cell, I have selected C6 to F9, these quantities. Now let's look at the constraints. The first and most important constraint is that the store demand has to meet the total produce. So total produce has to be equal to the store demands. Now after that, another major constraint is that okay, so this quantity has to be an integer, because shirts can be like a half shirt or a 1/4 shirt. You can't do that. So that's one of the constraints, that this area has to be integer. And then I have fed in all the minimum order quantities. So the minimum order quantity for each plant is at least 25. So that's what I've fed in here. It should be a minimum 25 and not more than that, not less than that. Sorry. And after that, I have fed in like the other quantities. What is the maximum production by each vendor? So like that's the maximum production. Loro Piana can do 200, Delfino can do 80, you cannot do, and e-commerce can do 170. So I put in that particular vendor, and the production can be like less than equal to 180. So that's what I have done. Now let's see and run the solver and see what results do we get here. I'm going to keep the solver solution because I have the file saved with me, and so I can use that file in order to use the original file. So I'm going to take out an answer sheet, and I'm going to hit OK. Let's see, it's taking time. Okay, yeah. So I got the answer sheet here. So that's the minimum total cost of production that we are going to incur by allocating efficiently. So it has allocated, it has done it in seconds. It's like a very exciting thing for me when I go back to job. So now so we can see that like minimum on like the least amount of cost can be incurred from e-commerce. So it has used the maximum capacity in e-commerce in every season. That's a good thing that I would have also done, but I would have done it manually, and Solver did it like that. And we see that it has then the second next best, and it has allocated the maximum capacities that it could be like. We see that the second next least cost is from Delfino, and it has allocated the maximum to Delfino here. So it has done the most effective solution. This is the answer report that you can see. So that's the final value that I was looking for. I don't know why it is coming in rupees. I might change it to dollars, but yeah, so that is pretty much my project, and I was very thrilled that the things that I did manually, I could do it using Solver, and it made my life easy, and I'm thankful for it. So